Welcome, everybody, back to the Liverpool Reaction and American LFC podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my co host, Coach Ralph. Coach, interesting game today. Maybe not the ideal result, but probably not a bad result.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Villa away is a tough fixture. It's a tough fixture. Um, and I think that we can look at the game in as much as Villa had two great chances right at the end of the game, so we could easily have lost. But overall, I haven't seen a lot of fan reaction as yet, but I guess a lot of people will be disappointed in as much as Villa at times played Russian roulette at the back.
You learning
Sorry.
Spanish over there?
No, it's not Spanish. Like you can. Oh, of course, we're live, aren't we now?
No worries.
So yeah. I haven't seen the fan reaction, so I think that a lot of people will be disappointed because at the back, Aston Villa played Russian roulette, and Liverpool missed some very easy chances, and so that'll be disappointing. But as I say, they could easily have lost it at the end of the game.
Yeah, Russian roulette for sure. Coach, when I look at this game after, 20 minutes, half hour since it's been done, and it seems like any outcome could have been possible. Liverpool easily could have won. Aston Villa easily could have won. It obviously ended as a tie, and I mean that not from a standpoint that obviously any game can have any result, but you mentioned about the Russian roulette, the chances that Villa had. It was like all over the place, and from a performance standpoint for Liverpool, there were times where they were knocking it around and playing well, but Villa is they're new guys. Especially Rashford. Rashford looked pretty good, but it's I think that team's a little bit different than before.
Maybe Villa. Whilst they were kind of iffy at the back at times, they are very good going forward, and I thought that they had good options off the bench. Rodgers and who was the other guy? He scored the goal that was disallowed. Ramsey.
Yeah.
Rodgers and Ramsey are both an attacking threat. Like they can run with the ball, and they cause problems because of it. So I know they've been very inconsistent this season, but they've definitely got threats going forward. They've got good speed and dangerous players.
Well, one of the errors early in the game got Mohamed Salah another goal. And then when Trent scored to tie it up, Mo Salah got an assist. Coach, every week this guy just is in the right place at the right time. And he's having an incredible season. What else can we say about this guy?
Well, there's not too much. He's certainly getting the plaudits across the board, and I think that they're well deserved. There's just so many small things he does. Like there was one point in the second half where he traps the ball under severe pressure and just turns, and he's a top player. He's a top player, no question.
Coach, I think we can't talk about this game without talking about Darwin's miss there when Connor Bradley put Szoboszlai in, and Szoboszlai squared it instead of taking it on. And is that Darwin in a microcosm right there?
Well, I know that's what people will say. He was coming in very fast, and he was under pressure. For me, the Jota chance, the first half, right after Aston Villa equalised, was really a bigger miss. But I think that the narrative will be about Núñez, unfortunately, and so I don't think it'll help his confidence too much.
Yeah, there's been some talk about in the group I'm in that this might have sealed Darwin's fate as far as being sold. I don't know if necessarily that's that's true or not, but the sentiment from some Liverpool fans is that the inconsistency is just it's difficult to stomach when that's his role on the team. And when you look at it, coach is this. We know his work rate. He works hard. He's, I'm sure he's a good guy and everything. But what do we do here? Is this a sell in the summer, or what do you think?
Look, that's up to the manager. But I think that right now that Arne Slot will be keeping him. Well, we'll be working with him to keep him on board because he definitely has a role to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he can score goals. And Brentford the other week, he was the hero. Now for some, he's going to be the Villa playing at Aston Villa. So I feel sorry for him. It's black or white, and it's never in between.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of speculation over the internet about his future and everything. And I just wish people would concentrate more on the current season and basically just getting behind the team rather than worrying about the summer. And I mean, who cares about the summer? Liverpool are going for the title, and the team. And we've said this before on some of the previous podcasts. We are back now to the pre-Manchester City era. And there's a very good argument that Liverpool's the best team this season, and they've certainly been the most consistent. But they very much remind me of the Benitez team of 08-09, which was the best team that season, but they didn't win the league. And the reason, when you boil it all down, was because they just drew too many games. And Liverpool seem to be in a pattern now of drawing games. And they didn't give up a late goal today, but they were mightily close to doing so. And we've had, obviously, there was Everton last week, there was Newcastle, and there was Manchester United, where Leeds were surrendered. And so there was a little bit of a pattern there that, if it happens once, okay, it happens once, but it's happening too many times. And perhaps the one difference, though, today, besides the fact that they didn't concede the late goal, was that they did miss a lot of, pretty routine chances for a team of this caliber, and then the players that they have up front as well.
From a performance standpoint, it seems since the Wolves game over the weekend, it wasn't a great performance, but 3 points are 3 points, and there are no bad wins in the Premier League. You win a game, you move on. But from a performance standpoint, are you a little bit worried here? Gravenberch seems to maybe feel a little leggy. The impacts of him, are teams doing something different to neutralize him a little bit more? McAllister looked dead by the end of the game. Trent got subbed, and then Connor Bradley pulls up with a hamstring. Is there just too much going on right now in the squad, or what are your thoughts? And let's start with the Gravenberch situation.
Right. I mean, he definitely hasn't been as evident the last few games as he was previously this season. So, of course, there'll be much speculation, and we'll come back to the same, Liverpool don't have enough players and all this kind of baloney.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, like, they're certainly not going to rotate against Manchester City. And then there's, of course, Newcastle at home next week, which again, I mean, these are all games that I could see Liverpool dropping points. It may not be to lose, but to draw.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be close games. I know Manchester City was losing to Real Madrid. Do you know the final score there?
It was 2-0 relatively early.
It was 3-0 the last I heard.
Yeah, I don't know that they have the weapons anymore to come back from that.
They're still going to come back from, because the 5-2
3-1.
3-1 was it? Yeah.
Oof. PSG won 7-0 against Brest.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I mean, basically, Manchester City will be back, back to Manchester, they'll be licking their wounds, and really they'll be wanting to, to tie up a top 4 place at this particular time. So so it's going to be interesting from that perspective. And of course, Arsenal plays first this weekend, a home game with West Ham, which you would believe that they're probably going to win. So, but I think Arsenal's similar. Again, it's pre-Manchester City era. Arsenal is like Liverpool. Like they're a good team. Their issue is that they're missing players up front, but yet they seem to be getting the job done, even if it's by the skin of their teeth. So this is definitely a title that's going to go down to the wire, especially if Arsenal win and then Liverpool lose this weekend. I think that would put a lot of pressure on the team for the Newcastle game, for sure.
When you look at the lineup today, we're a little odd. Gakpo has a knock, so he didn't play, and then there was no Luis Diaz on the left. It was Curtis Jones on the left, but it was a very like a 4-2-3-1 type of situation, and so it was just kind of odd. I was just thinking that if Gakpo would be out, then Luis Diaz would start on the left. Would that have made any difference, you think?
It's tough to tell. I mean, because Curtis Jones came in, and actually I thought he was one of Liverpool's best players. I thought he played extremely well. So I could only assume that Arne Slot was hoping not to use Diaz, with my guess being that he would start him against Manchester City,
yeah,
and then Gakpo would probably be the sub if he's good to go. So that's what my guess would be. I mean, like he brought Diaz on, but he was never really in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah. This is a difficult run of games that they're on, and so far the only thing that you can say is that they're not losing. But as I say, 2 games coming up, which yeah. It'll be tight. It'll be very tight.
I'm worried from a performance standpoint. They just haven't looked as sharp, as crisp as they have in previous weeks, and that's that. You can claw out draws and get wins at the last minute like Brentford, but at some point the performances have to come back, or else you can't. This isn't sustainable, and that's what I want to see. More importantly than the score line at City, I want to see a good performance. I want to see the midfield controlling it. We know the Manchester City defense is there to get got for sure, but Marmoush scored a hat trick. Holland's always dangerous. They have some new players. They kind of revived their team in the January transfer window. What are your thoughts of this Manchester City team with all the new additions, and how do you predict that Liverpool will play against them?
Well, they certainly surprised me last weekend because Newcastle's been on a very good run, and they seem to deal with them handily, given the game was in between the 2 ties with Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to say. I mean, coming back to Liverpool are in a situation where they have 6 games or 6 Premier League games in February, and in fact they had three cup ties as well, which is why Slot chose to basically put out a shadow team against Plymouth.
Yeah.
And so I think that you've got to look at that context. And then all of a sudden, they've only got 1 Premier League game in the whole of March.
Yeah.
So they'll have 3 other games. it'll be either PSG or Benfica, and the other game will be the final against Newcastle. So all of a sudden it's become a very lopsided schedule.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you can say is that whilst they're not getting 3 points every game, so far they're not losing either. So even though it might be disappointing that they didn't get all 3 points today, at least they got a point. And I think that's the way the manager will look at it, and I think that's the way that the fan base has to look at it, and not focus on what could have been. Because unfortunately, the reality, again, it comes back to the 08-09 team, possibly the best team in the country, the most consistent team, but maybe just missing that little bit extra, which is why they're drawing games and maybe conceding late.
Yeah. When Trent scored, there's a period around that time that I was like, okay, here we go. The ball's getting moved around. Szoboszlai and Mo had a little interplay in the box, just couldn't really get a shot off. And the goal that Tielemans scored for Villa, their first goal, was, Szoboszlai headed it right to him, and I'm not blaming him by any stretch. It was very hectic in that box. But I'm wondering, when you look at that, is that something that Allison has to come out for, or is it just an unfortunate turn of events there that just kind of led to that?
Yeah, I'd have to see the incident again because there was a lot of bodies in the box, and there were a couple of chances to clear, and actually Szoboszlai's header was poor. And Tielemans is a good player, and he can score goals, and he did.
Yeah.
So from a Liverpool perspective, they'll be disappointed to give that up. But look at the other side of the coin. Look at the first goal that Aston Villa gave up to Liverpool, which was basically the fullback set up Jota, and it was an easy finish. And coming back to the Núñez situation. I mean, when Salah shot, there's nobody on him. Núñez was under a challenge, so I think it was a little tougher situation than the Salah one.
Yeah, you're being really kind to him. I think still forward, a striker needs to put that one away. It's as good of a chance as you can have. I understand he's running at full clip. Tyrone Mings hits the deck to try to prevent him from scoring, but skying the ball like that is just, at that moment in the game, it would have put Liverpool up 3-2. They were playing well. It was a well-crafted play through Bradley and Szoboszlai. I don't know. I'm a little bit more hesitant about giving him a pass on that one. I do agree with you. Jota's chance in the first half where he tried to curl it and just got it wrong. That was a very good chance as well. When you see 2-2, with a team like this, Aston Villa at Villa Park, we're 8 points clear. City up next. What can we take from this game and apply it to the City game?
Oh, good question. I think at the end of the day, and it's not just Manchester City, I think it's all the games now. We've come into the last third of the season and they're chasing the title, and it's just got to be, okay, the last game finished. What did we do well? What did we not do well? There's a tough game coming up against the team that's dominated the league the last few years, even though they're not doing so well this year. And I think, just coming back to Darwin Núñez again, maybe it's the coach in me thinking, well, okay, I think you're probably right. Like he should have converted the chance. He was under pressure, which is why I'm giving him a slight out. But you've got to keep him involved, and so I think that Arne Slot will continue to encourage him because, as I said earlier in the podcast, like they are going to need him, and he can score goals. So you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose a player that you know that can contribute.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying ostracize him. Like, he's definitely, has a role in the team. You can never question his work rate. You can never question those things, which are, you know, not everybody works that hard. Not every, there's some players that, across all of Europe that don't work as hard as he does. And for that, like, we have to give him some plaudits for sure. However, I do understand that he needs to he needs to be part of the team. I'm not saying ostracize him. He needs to get involved, but these are like big goals that, and he scored big goals. It's not like he's foreign to that type of situation. Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest last year, Newcastle last year. I mean, there's a lot of times we can point to, moments of brilliance from Darwin. It's just these not cupcakes, but these easier ones for some reason it's like he thinks too much or something. Like he's too much time versus reacting. I don't really know, but it's hopefully he can come good and score a couple goals here in the next 3-4 weeks, and we can put this behind us. Coach, so now Arsenal has a game in hand, and if they win Saturday, it'll be down to 5, and then we have the City game. It's still they have to make up 2-3 games, which is still not an easy task, especially with the problems up front. I think they got a little bit fortunate last week against Leicester. But West Ham has some scorers, has some good players. Is this a game that screams draw to you as well, or is this a game that potentially West Ham can nick?
My gut feeling is it'll be a close game, but Arsenal will win. But it'll be close. It'll be close. I think from a West Ham perspective, they're a little. Obviously, they are better than Leicester. So it's going to come down to is how effective are West Ham at shutting down the Gunners, basically. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to, and obviously, the longer that they can do that, then they do have players like Bowen and Kudus who can snatch something on the break. But my gut feeling is it'll be either 1-0 or 2-1 to Arsenal. I think it'll be tight.
Coach, when we look ahead, Newcastle on the horizon twice. What challenges do they pose, do you think, that differ from Manchester City? And I'm looking at it not from a forward line, from a midfield perspective, because if De Bruyne plays, we know he doesn't have the he's not young anymore, and he plays 30-40 minutes at a time, but we know what he's capable of. And then you look at the Newcastle team that has Bruno and Joe Linton, Tonali, Anthony Gordon. What's the difference there between the two?
Well, I think that Manchester City, it's going to be how they react to the Champions League disappointment. I think that's going to be the key for that particular game. Newcastle, as I said, it was surprising. It was surprising how easily Manchester City handled them, given the current run. But they have Isak up front, who's a good player. There'll probably be a little cat and mouse in the game, obviously, because in another few weeks there's the League Cup final.
Yeah.
So for me, if Manchester City, if their heads drop or have dropped, Liverpool can win. if they're up for the game, it's a game Liverpool could lose, I think. Newcastle is at Anfield, so you'd have to fancy Liverpool to win.
Yeah.
But I think on current form, I think it'll be a close game. I think all the games are going to be close.
Yeah, Anfield is a differentiator for sure for our team, but yeah, two really tough back-to-back away games, and see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm slightly disappointed with the result, but also I understand the result. I think it could have been, like I said earlier, it could have been Liverpool win, it could have been Aston Villa win. So when what's our message here to the fans? Stay calm. We're in still a really good position. What's the message here, Coach?
Well, I think Liverpool is in a good position, but and I think we saw this against Wolves, where the crowd got nervous, and then it kind of translates through to the field. So I think that the fans have to basically, as with Darwin Núñez, they've just got to support the lads and get behind them. If they're struggling, encourage them. If they should drop more points or even lose, they've got to stay with them. I mean, because in theory it's between Liverpool and Arsenal now, and neither side is perfect. Neither side is totally dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And to use the current lingo that we hear a lot, it's going to be fine margins. So I think that's inevitable, one way or another.
It's so interesting how every week, every game, the reactions. I mean, I know that I have them, and a lot of fans have them. And as we're talking, I had a friend of mine text me saying we're shitting away the season, and it's it's just interesting how.
I think that's a little over the top. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
but
again, we're back to normal football now, where nobody is that dominant over the rest of the league.
Yep. Well, Coach, as always, thank you so much for your insight. Liverpool fans, we're okay. We're 8 points up. We're in good position. Yes, we have a couple tough games coming up, but let's stay positive. Let's get behind the boys, like Coach said, and hopefully we'll have a result we're proud of on Sunday, and then Newcastle the following week. Please subscribe. For those listening on podcasts, we are doing most of these now live on YouTube. And you can absolutely hop on here. They're also live on Facebook under my page too. So please feel free to jump on those if you want to catch the content a little bit earlier. And for those watching on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell. We'd love to hear some of your comments as well. So everybody take care, and we will catch you next time. Liverpool is 8 points clear. Let's keep that at the front of mind. Okay. 8 points clear. Take care, everybody.
Bye now.